Welcome to Focus on Business, a podcast show for photographers with me, your host, Jane Goodrich. I'm talking to successful photographers so you can learn from our experiences and have the business of your dreams. So join us and let's focus on business. Okay, so today I'm really excited to have the fantastic Ksenia Vanderhoff on our YouTube channel and podcast. So I want to just turn it over to you. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself or your business and what type of photography that you do?
Oh, yes, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me here today. It is a pleasure seeing you again, and it is a pleasure being as a guest on your podcast. I'm gladly going to tell you everything I know just to share my experience so that hopefully somebody can take nuggets from it and possibly apply it to their lives too. So yes, I'm mostly a wedding photographer, and I'm also a portrait photographer. Weddings are pretty seasonal, so I'm in Michigan right now. I also do photography in Florida. In Florida, it's mostly portraits. In Michigan, it's mostly weddings. Weddings in Michigan are summertime through fall time, and then it's kind of the booking time for everything else. So while it's booking time for everything else, that's the regroup, reset, refresh your content, refresh your website, and book portraits kind of thing for me. So this is what I do. And yeah, what else do you want to know?
Yeah, so why photography? What made you think, oh, I'm just going to go be a photographer?
Well, that's, for me personally, that's a very loaded question. Because I'll try to make it as condensed as possible. I started in school, in art school, in early 2000s, very long time ago. I chose my major is illustration, and then I went to 3D modeling and 3D animation. Totally like nothing to do with photography. However, in 3D modeling, I really liked the light setup. You literally go to the computer and set up lights to light up your 3D model. And I was obsessed with that. And after that, well, we're already working with cameras. We're already working with this and that. I actually love photography. In college, I took photography classes. And then opportunity presented itself. And I started to work in completely different industry, which was travel industry. It's relevant, I promise. So just hang on for 2 minutes. Yeah. I was an emergency contact person for a small company which dealt with VIP clients from abroad. Part of my job was to organize events. As an emergency contact person, people who were contacting me, they were always very unhappy. So I was that resolve any problem. Every situation that didn't go right would go through me. Clients on the other end of the line would yell at me, would scream, would cry. I mean,
that sounds fun.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, I was fine. It was for the money. It was worth it. Let's put it this way. At least I thought back then. And then life happened and it was COVID. So all the travel stopped. Everything stopped. At the same time, I was working already as a photographer in Florida, in Miami. That was with models. So that was my outlet from all of this chaotic life and VIP crazy clients. I'm going to call it crazy because the situations were crazy a lot of times. From that to kind of like the ocean and the beautiful scenes and the models. And I was an odd one out, I guess. I didn't start like everybody else. I feel like everybody else is, okay, I'm going to shoot friends and family. And from there, start to charge. A wannabe model found me and she's, I saw your photographs. I really like your work. Can you work for me? Yes, I can. She introduced me to this. Back then, it was not as big as it is right now. I guess one of those online publishings. They had over 50 titles of magazines back then. Started doing shoots for them, for wannabe models and for influencers and for models. And it was covers and the content in the magazines. And it was a kind of like a crazy but a really beautiful life because you get paid I didn't have to look for clients. I didn't have to advertise my skill. I didn't have to do any work that a normal photographer in business would do. And all I had to do was edit 2 or 3 shots, like the best shots from every shoot. So I didn't do batch editing even. I knew Photoshop very, very well. And they just had to be cover worthy, let's put it this way, which I already had the skill from my education. It was absolutely beautiful. But once again, COVID hit. So all of that closed down. My family was forced to move to Michigan because we had a toddler and we had family members over here. My husband was let off work. We were forced to completely relocate. And guess what? Over here, no influencers, no ocean, no warm weather, any time of the year. I'm like, what else is there? And I kind of didn't want to go back to travel business. I think for obvious reasons now.
Yeah.
So I love photography. Let's do more of this. And I found out that majority of photographers charge less than what I would be paid in Florida for pretty much doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, how is it possible? How am I going to sustain myself? So I had to relearn the ways because like you start to question, was I doing it wrong? Like, was it just golden nugget that I found that it doesn't exist over here in Michigan? And I don't think in Florida it's possible anymore too. I think that time is gone for that kind of thing. So yeah, it was kind of crazy. And then I thought, well, wait a second. I'm really good in stressful situations. I'm really good when something goes wrong. I can calm people down and I can be in charge. And I know photography. Let's do weddings. I've done weddings before, like smaller ones. Florida. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. So I used my portfolio from Florida to build my business over here in Michigan, and it took off. I wasn't sure if my style was too beachy and completely different from it is over here, but it took off. Thank God it took off. And I think I started it in the right time because it was just after COVID when all the brides needed the photographer.
Right.
So that's my kind of like very crazy story how I came to this. But I can say that I know 2 different markets. One is the VIP rich market, which relies a lot on the word of mouth. Michigan definitely has a different market. Small, like an average American family, they just want for quick photos. So over here, I do a lot of upsells. So I had to learn. I had to update my ways of thinking. I have to update my knowledge in general and create completely different ways to separate my...
Yeah,
it's interesting that you have seen that side, that you have really been able to see 2 different markets. I mean, I have a newborn family business. And even though newborns are born year round, there is quite seasonal with the family photos. So in order to offset that, I do headshots. And the market is completely different to do headshots. But so even within the same area, the demand or price sensitivity is very different within even genres.
And with headshots, because that was also one of the ways of thinking for me when I relocated to Michigan, because I already work with models. That would be like a logical thing to do. And over here, all the models are either getting their shots done at the agency itself, or they rarely go to the agency with a portfolio, or they are looking for free shoots. So nobody wants to spend money over here.
Yeah, I always say there are people that always want to spend money. So for headshots, for me, it's more the LinkedIn business profile.
Yeah, that's different.
The actor headshots, so modeling headshots.
Right. No, I'm talking about those, okay, I want to start in modeling and I want to get this shot to get to an agency. And that's more like whatever.
Yeah. I definitely think that each market is different and you have to figure out a way to make it profitable. And it might be a different pricing model, like you said, like in Michigan, you do more upsells than you had to do in Florida. I love your story. I think it's fascinating, people's stories.
I think it's very different from.
Yeah. But if you had to travel back in time, and yes, can we erase COVID? But anyway, if you had to travel back in time, would you change anything about how you say your move to Michigan? Would you have done anything different?
The only regret I have in everything is not to start earlier, because I feel like my steps were pretty firm to where I wanted to get the information, where I would source my information. So I spent very little time in that unknown area. Like I have no idea what to do. And maybe it comes from college, because for my master's, you always look for sources. Or maybe it comes from there. I don't know. Some sources were very bad for this information and some were very good, like Pixel. So some are reliable, some are not. But you try it here and there. On top of that, what works for your market, what doesn't work for your market. But overall, I don't think I would take any steps away from my journey. But I would like, if I had to go back, start it much earlier, just to get where I am today much earlier.
Yeah. And that's interesting. It's sort of like you're looking for different sources of information to try. And when I started, it was back in 2010, there's a lot less information and more accurate information. And so this is one of the things I tried with the podcast.
I wouldn't say more accurate, but the amount of bad information was way less.
You're right. The likelihood of you finding accurate information was higher. Yes, probably still some bad information, but now it's just,
you don't know what to trust.
You don't know who to trust. I'm in a similar situation to you. Like, I have an MBA. I've seen that, and I came into it very differently than, hey, I've got my camera and I can do this for a job. But it's really a business. And so now looking back, I just really think that it's very difficult for newer photographers now, which is hence this podcast, so people can actually learn from other people and not make those mistakes. I love marketing. So you have built a business in Florida, you've built a business in Michigan. What is your favorite form of marketing and why?
Yes, I do. And it's networking. It's plain and simple. It's get out, talk about yourself. And I'm a horrible salesperson. I hate salesy people. When I go shopping for a car, I just hate that experience. I had very bad experience doing so, and I never want to be associated with these salespeople. So I would never be the person on the phone, because I do require phone calls for a lot of bookings. So I would never be that person on the phone who would be like, okay, what's your card number? It's not me. It goes against my beliefs. It goes against my heart, my brain. Everything is just flipping in me when I hear that. In fact, I give depending on the session, for weddings, I give 4 days and I say, sit down, look through the contract, think about it, make sure that you want to hire me, and then sign it, and then do the deposit and everything. This is my way of doing things. Overall, I just want a smooth experience for my clients that does not translate into anything sale related.
Right. Yeah. I think when people think networking, they also think kind of like you're selling to other people. But when you say networking,
like a friendship.
Yes, I call it making business friends. Yes, I hate the word networking, and I don't know why. But I realize that I actually do network, but I don't think I network, because I just actually make business friends, people that in the area. So as a wedding photographer moving to Michigan, I'm going to do the models, and so you didn't actually expect that type of market. But when you decided to become a wedding photographer, I'm good at networking. I like networking. Who did you reach out to, and who your business friends that sort of...
My first clients were from online, and I didn't actually know them. But when I sold my first wedding in Michigan, I'm like, okay, I just need to build my portfolio, step my foot straight. It was a 4-hour wedding, and if I remember correctly, it was $1,400, something like that. And that was just from Facebook. I think Facebook has very low ball offers in general. I see right now the market is down. After COVID, it went up significantly. Now it's down, and photographers are frantically trying to get onto, I'm looking for a photographer. They want to be there, one of the first 50 replies, because in today's market, the clients feel like they can dictate what they want to spend for what quality, what kind of service. So they're like, okay, looking for a photographer, $1,000, 8 hours. Some really great photographers, in my personal opinion, and they're, hey, I'm available. And I don't know, maybe they will upsell, because I've done that too before.
Yeah.
Try different ways, I'm telling you. I've done that too. Maybe they will upsell, maybe not. But the amount of photographers on Facebook that you have to compete with is just...
Yeah, that's interesting, because a lot of people listening right now are in the Facebook groups and thinking that's probably one of the only ways to market your business.
Easy.
It's very easy because you're on it and you can just put the link and it's free, especially weddings. And what's interesting you see about the wedding industry, and I'm not sure if you've heard, is the gap from COVID. 2023 was such a low weddings, and it's coming back up because there was the dating gap, right? So people actually didn't meet, and so they didn't start dating and then get engaged. And so we're going to see an uptick back in the number of weddings.
Yeah, it was interesting. So first you had everybody who wanted to get married during COVID.
Yeah.
Then they got postponed. Then you got the ones who met during COVID, and they kind of collided together when everything opened up again. Mm-hmm. So then it became double the clients in a way for photographers. Sudden. I feel like whoever started during that time was on a high horse, because there was actually less photographer offers per client in general.
Yes. I think you have an unrealistic market.
Yeah, like that. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So.
And then obviously everybody got married. Then there was a dip down.
Yeah.
Okay, that's done. Now everybody's, okay, we don't have the money anymore. We spent the money that was given by the government. We are not really sure where economy is going. So everybody was holding off too. Even the H couples all of a sudden are like, we don't want to spend. I see so many do-it-yourself things. So I'm an admin of a very large bridal group in Michigan. It's called Michigan Brides Suite. And we have over 27,000 people there. A lot of vendors, a lot of brides. The amount of things we see on low budget right now is insane, unfortunately. I hate to say that, but it's very...
Well, and I also think that, we can talk about misinformation, but, they're getting information, for example, like the knot that says the average bride pays $2,000. Yeah. However, if you're a full-time wedding photographer and you're charging $2,000, your average can do, between 20 and 27. So your gross revenue, and that's physical, full-time, is between 50 and 60. And then you have costs. And for a wedding photography, dual cameras, you have a ton of costs. And so to actually go through and price that, you're borderline minimum wage by that point because of all the costs of running your business. By the way, you don't have health insurance, you don't have vacation pay, you don't have a pension, you don't have anything. We have to get out of the mindset of letting clients control the pricing. What I see in those groups is wedding photographers that are newer that haven't backed up their images, their camera died on the shoot and they didn't have a backup camera or they didn't have dual card slots. So it's almost comedy of errors, kind of almost get what you pay for. But then you see those photographers that, oh, wow, they're amazing. And they're going to charge $3,000 for this wedding. I can't charge that. Yet that person is going to get them on a call, going to upsell them. That $3,000 that they said was for the wedding was actually for the bare minimums, but they're going to get the second shooter. They're going to get the videographer. They're going to get the albums. And you don't see that in this group.
And usually, I try to give a discount if they sign up for prints and stuff before or during booking, they get a discount. But after that, the prices will go up. So most of them don't order any prints. And then by the time they see the artworks, now they really want the print and to really upsell.
I think that's where, and the Facebook groups for weddings is definitely the networking with the wedding vendors and with the videographers, DJs, venues, all of that stuff is key, as well as ranking on Google. And the Facebook groups are great to kind of get started. But I think we also all have like an imposter syndrome. So those Facebook groups are really bad for that. And they really don't let you focus on your own business, what you need to make to run your business.
I'll tell you what, though. I think Facebook groups are great building connections with other vendors.
Yes,
who can bring you really great clients.
Yeah.
In fact, somebody watches it and wants to get into the wedding industry. I'm telling you, follow the photographers who are better and more successful than you in your area for what you're doing, like weddings, especially in weddings, because there will be a day when they will need a backup or a second shooter. This is a great way to build great portfolio, because if they charge more than you, then most likely you will be shooting as a second shooter a more spectacular scene that you can later advertise. Make sure that you can, because not every photographer allows, but most do. Even if they don't, ask them, can I cherry pick like 10 photos with which I will advertise? And they don't even have to include faces. You can still make your portfolio.
I like that idea, because one of the things I think is sort of get out of your comfort zone. For weddings, at least, I mean, there's a bare minimum really per wedding, and it sort of is around 3 to 4. And regardless of where you live, try to find those people that have been established in your area, because guess what? They might be booked for that date. And become best friends with that person. And they might say, hey, look, you're charging too low for this area. They might turn out they're doing it for your own good. We don't have it in this industry as much as we should. Like, for example, the hairdresser industry, right? You go to school for it, then you apprentice. We don't have that as much. So the more that you can learn from other photographers, the better. I personally think everybody has their own style and everybody has their own brand, because you are unique. It doesn't matter if your images look quite similar. You are going to be different because you're human.
Yeah, you never want to start from somewhere and then you make a great connection. Let's say like you're a moody photographer and you made a great connection with light and airy photographer, and then all of a sudden you're shooting for them, and then all of a sudden you're changing your entire style. That will come across.
Yeah, I have photographers that I'm very good friends with that shoot completely different to me. They do the same genre. Mine's a pretty simple white. I love white, clean. And I have really good friends that do crazy props. Same thing with like...
I really meant like those who take your vision and after getting to know you, translate it into theirs. And it's very, very visible. It's very different from, I have a similar style and I hired you as a second shooter.
Got you. Yeah.
Have a similar style, because there are lots of photographers around me who shoot similar to me, and I'm glad to give them second shooter jobs if I need a lead position too. That's different. If somebody willingly changes the style, that does come across as, okay, back up a little bit.
What you're sort of saying is try and make friends, business friends, I call it, with other photographers in your area. But if you're looking for a second shooter job, you've got to make sure that your styles kind of align.
I tend to do that because I just had bad experience with hiring somebody of a different style. I feel like it's easier for moody photographers. It's easy to take a bad photo, edit it in a moody way that would look good. Versus if you shoot a lighter style, it's very hard to fake light in post-production.
Right. So you can save some photos black and white. I see what you're saying there. Yeah, the one wedding I shot and it was in dark, gloomy church, and I was
And I mean, you have to have a proper equipment. When I just came and I was trying different shooters and trying to figure out who's good and who's not, I unfortunately had to run into a couple of photographers who did not put genuine information about their equipment too. So I don't know if the light necessarily, but they didn't disclose the correct information. But I think in this industry, for weddings specifically, you have to figure out your people.
Yeah, definitely figuring out. And then
I love the fact that in Florida that you worked basically somewhat as like a commercial shooter, just hired for the magazine and you're doing the 3 shots that they need.
Yeah.
So the transition to then running a business was completely
Very
different.
different. Very.
One of the things that we see a lot is, oh, we're just going to take the photos and then I'm going to send them to my clients and I'm done. Now it's a lot more work than that. How do you balance all of the tasks? Do you outsource? Are you amazing at accounting? Are you amazing at
accounting? No. I definitely would not recommend doing absolutely everything yourself. However, I do enjoy editing. I'm really good at it. I'm really fast at it. I enjoy my own ways. I don't even like AI so much because a lot of times it doesn't call the way I call and it doesn't edit sometimes the way I want to see the final image. And maybe I didn't train it enough, but I tried it. Let's put it this way. When I need to save time, I take up to 6 weddings per month. So it includes associate photographers too. With that volume, I still want to deliver in very reasonable time. And I'm actually known in my area for fast delivery times. 3-4 weeks for me and sometimes 1 week.
1 week for a wedding?
Yeah.
I can do 3 weeks for a newborn shoot. I don't steer away from anything. I still can't do it. Even if I have one shoot, it takes 6 weeks.
Yeah, I try to get everything right in camera and it definitely helps a lot during post-production too. And once you have your ducks in a row, kind of, it's unlike a lot of photographers who use Lightroom. Nothing against Lightroom at all. I use Photoshop because this is how I started. This is how I progressed and how I continue. Right now, Photoshop allows you without Bridge to have like batch editing. So yeah, it is fantastic for me. Certain things take longer, but it's usually very specific portraits that will be printed as fine art and things like that. So.
Mine's actually not the editing. It's just sort of like, oh no, I need to upload the oh, I need to rename them. Oh, like, it's just more my procrastination. It's not to do with that. I'm like,
I can't.
I don't want to. Yeah, so
I get so excited whenever I get from any shoot, any wedding. All the photos will be in 4 different places stored.
Oh, immediate.
At night.
Oh, no, that's definitely. So I have to go to my studio after a shoot if I'm on location. I have to upload them to my computer, save them to my server, upload them to Dropbox, and still on my card. Yeah. No, I can't do anything after a shoot until I do that. I can't even see my kid. Like, sorry.
But then I also deliver about 50 photos next day as a preview because I cannot wait. I have to see, like.
I had an interesting conversation with a couple of wedding photographers in my area, and they actually were sort of semi-retired. Well, they retired from weddings, and I just thought it was really interesting of why. Well, because the brides, they wanted to go on Facebook with them. I was like, okay, dude, you could have just saved yourself, hire an associate. You can even probably, the shots that they want, or the easiest ones that can quickly edit, get them to share on Facebook, because the key is they are getting photos shared that are not great quality. There are people are tagging them in on Facebook and Instagram in phone quality. You want to be one of the first to actually go out there. But guess what? Charge for it. That's okay. Just make sure you have a second shooter or you have an associate that's going to be editing or whatever you want to do. Just make sure you charge for it. It's not something to give up your business for. So I love the fact that you do that.
So another thing that I want to talk about, which I think a lot of people kind of disregard when they move, because I was in that boat when I moved from one state to another state. I still had a lot of clients in Florida. I'm in Michigan, and I had so many families who would contact me because they heard of me. Somebody recommends me. Are you available? We have a family reunion and I need you on a certain date. I could not believe my stupidity when I was saying, oh, I'm in Michigan. I will be in Florida only in a month. Would you like to book then? And it's like, you will never hear from those clients again. I guarantee. Now, when something like this happens, yes, it will be so-so. It will be my associate shooter. And I had trained in Florida and, a few people. I critique whenever they do the job for me the first time. I critique it. I tell them what to improve. They kind of get guidance from me on what I expect. They're really good at it too. It allows me to keep those clients engaged.
Yeah.
So I'd say if you're moving from established market to a different market, do not say complete goodbye to the previous market. That's on my end. It was stupid at the very beginning. What am I doing? Like, I could do it the other way. So
and I think that that's actually a very good way, because if you've lived somewhere that you go back and visit because that's what you do, or you have family there and you can set up a day or two a weekend. I did that when I moved from Chicago to New York. I kept my clients for a while, and I would go and I would do a lot of shoots in a weekend, which I was younger then. What's interesting is what you did with the associate shooters is that's great because you can actually get some income from it. I used associate shooters definitely in 2020. I had a fantastic wedding photographer who actually also did families, and it was great. It worked out really well. Then she got busy in 2021 when everyone needed their weddings again. So I had to go back to shooting a lot. It's a really good point. And also, you don't have to reveal everything. So even in your town, if I'm not available or I can recommend somebody else, it's always about I'm not available. Which one of my photographer friends is available that I would recommend for that job, and be still giving back too, rather than just saying I'm not available, goodbye. Just think of those people, because eventually, or maybe not, but I think it's always good to help other people. And also that client might come back to you again too, right?
Oh yeah.
And they're like, oh, you were so helpful. You recommended this person.
Refer you. I never had a client who took my associate and hired them again. They would come to me. But I did all the communication. I send out lots of styling guides and make the process from booking to the shoot to delivery times to ordering times a very smooth experience. And this is why I like your platform, because it does look like a smooth experience from booking, from marketing, those email blasts and stuff, to ordering. And this is exactly what clients remember and appreciate. It's great when the photographer on site is experienced, provides great customer care right there, but they remember the full experience and then they come to you.
I think the communication leading up to a shoot is underrated and it's not valued enough. I have always had templated scheduled emails that go out to prep my clients the week before, the day before, the day after. They love it because they don't have to think about it. And I don't have
no way they love it, because there's so many photographers who ghost. Literally, they book and then they disappear until the day of the event.
I've had that happen. Well, I've booked a shoot for my sister. But I do recommend photographers actually book a photographer and see from the client side experience, because I think if I was to look back, I would have probably done that a little bit sooner. I remember my daughter really, really hated Santa. So I booked a fantastic photographer. They have an amazing Santa experience. And I'd really love to know at this point what she should wear. Some things that I learned along the way of, okay, well, why are those kids behaving and this not? And so adding more prep for my clients, because I need it. And I want someone to tell me what to do. I want someone to tell me what to wear. And I want someone to tell me what to say to my kids to get them excited about a shoot, how to get the best behavior. So I definitely think you can automate it. And for me, when people say, oh, I have a client closet, that makes the experience all great. I'm like, I have a client closet. No one really uses it. But I think the experience can be whatever your client wants. I know that my clients love to be prepped.
Yeah. And for weddings, I can tell you right now, because that would like really apply for sessions. For weddings, when you're working with more experienced photographers as a second, I love second shooting because this is my creative time. With my personal clients, I'm on the safe zone. Yeah. I want to deliver 100%. My seconds can get more creative than me, but I'm going to be walking the line, I know for a fact. Because I know if I take a shot that they think is going to be great and I took it as a test and then I don't want to deliver it, they will ask for it.
Right.
But if I'm a second shooter, then, I can be more risky with those things.
That's funny. Though I have a client that just lets me do whatever I want. I always book her to kick off my fall season because now it's been close to 11 falls. So every year it's something different because I just can't shoot the same thing. I call it shoot location ADHD. But I'll tell her what clothes to buy for her kids. I'll tell her what we're doing and everything. And then, Jane, do your thing. That's freeing. It's so freeing. And it just starts my fall season off amazing. So I recommend everyone find that person.
Yes. Oh, that's so true. So with weddings, a lot of times those photographers, they would actually include you as a second or maybe an associate into the thread with their client.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's not like I'm copying what they do, but you can learn so much from other people, pieces of information that you have never thought before.
Yeah.
Same working for experienced photographers, like as a second shooter. Every time I work for a new person, I find something very interesting, the way they do, the way they light, the way they communicate, the way they prop people, the way they pay attention to certain things, how they style the bride and the groom, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing way to learn. So those who jump onto this opportunity to shoot weddings and I'm already a lead photographer, why would I second shoot for anybody? Go and second shoot because it's a great experience, I think.
I had an assistant for a while and she wanted to start a family photography business. This is back in 2012. And then she saw all the back end work and now all she does is second shoot. And she's been doing that for years. She's
so
like,
relaxing.
I get to shoot. I don't have to deal with the clients. I mean, I have to deal with them on the day. Speaking of clients, you learn as you go, but do you have any red flags in the email or how they treat somebody?
There are red flags and sometimes orange flags.
I like that.
And red flags are great because then you're pretty sure this is not going the direction you want to go and you can cancel. You have kind of like an option in your head. We're going to cancel that or we're going to stay with the client. It's 50-50, you choose. I think I canceled only one client before. Now, the orange flags are the ones that are more like the stones underwater you don't see. And I hate to say, but you know how we always say like, okay, or raise your, like online. It's and raise your prices and you'll get rid of people like this, meaning people who take advantage of you. Well, there are some luxury clients who will spend money. They will spend money. They will pay you, but they will drain everything from you, everything they can. I had those before.
So can you now recognize when they're going to be like that?
Well, I kind of did, and I went with it. So when they ask a lot of questions and they send you pictures, like let's say it's a family shoot, family reunion, let's say they have 14 people, and then she sends, let's say, photos, what every single person will wear. I'm glad you read my styling guide. I really appreciate it. But I don't know what kind of nitpicking person are you? Like, are you controlling entire family? Are you controlling the entire shoot? Because when I go to the location, I'm the one in control and I'm going to make it sound that way. Are you going to be okay with that? I think the people who are either, in my head, in my experience, who are either take too long to communicate with you, they can be quite difficult just to get in touch and to kind of
work with. Yeah.
Yes. And people who are very much in control all the time and they want to be in control of everything around them. I mean, it's quite obvious. One disappears and then you ask them to sign a contract and they will come back 3 months later. Literally happened to me.
Yeah.
I think we're ready to sign a contract and then another week goes by. Do I just tell them that date is no longer available?
Right.
And this is what I call an orange flag because it's not obvious. They can be great at the end. They can be very easy to work with. You just never know what it is. Or they can be like this one bride. She was like that. She actually picked my top package plus ordered a lot of prints, like 40-some prints later on. So she was a great client at the end. Like before she ordered the 40 prints, She went to CVS and printed like her entire gallery in CVS and was, why this photo is not coming out? And my contract clearly says, like, if you want my help, you have to print through me. So all I can tell you is CVS. Don't go there.
Yeah, exactly.
And all I can tell you, order it through me, and then I will work with you. And
I say no pharmacy printers. They don't calibrate. I mean, I've been doing this for 14 years, and I think sometimes your radar is off. But I will say I've sort of added to my contract. I will add to my contract each time I've not seen that red flag, and it can happen when you're slower. And then it's really not worth it. Really, they can life suck you. But I will say I will get about 2 a year. You can't let it ruin your business just because that one client. The best thing for you to do is just move on. I had one where she was being extremely, extremely nasty. I just had my sister right back. I can't. If I saw something come through, I forwarded it to her. I was also like 8 months pregnant and crying every 5 minutes.
To build on your thing, it's very important to have a professionally written, strict contract. It will help you no matter what client you're going to work with.
Yeah, I agree. You have to have it and also, if you can, make sure it's reviewed by someone in your state.
County, yes.
And just because laws can change, and you want to be able to, if something happened, especially with a wedding or something that can't be replaced, you can reshoot a family shoot. If you're an event photographer of something that's once in a lifetime, or like 2 or 3 times, but with different people, with weddings. But definitely, I agree, like have your contracts nailed down. It's a great investment. It will save you money. Like an accountant will save you money down the road and save you a headache. Like that's all we want.
Add money. That's what I can say, because one of the most crucial things I have in my contract that made me a lot of money is that editing, comprehensive editing, all the extras that are outside of my original vision, they are paid extra. Clients respect it. And I can make an exception if it's something I know, like super fast and stuff. Yeah. Especially with weddings, like, you know how many people are, we actually forgot the whatever cousin was supposed to group and we had him. And it's like, sure, pay more and I'll totally do it. And they do.
I think a lot of clients, especially with family and newborn, you get the mom or you'll get somebody that says, oh, you can just Photoshop that, right? Just Photoshop that. And I'm sure you get it with weddings. It's really hard on the shoot to be, and so I just say it's actually a different skill and I don't know it. So I can ask my editor how much it will cost to.
I do editing very well.
But you still need to be paid for it, right? So like I edit, don't get me wrong. I edit it, but I think everyone can just see on Instagram a click of a button. That's one thing, is to sort of, you can actually fix your bra strap right now, or you can't just say, can you edit this out?
Exactly. And if it's a wedding and if it's my client, I can say, listen, I will edit for free, complimentary, any 5 photos that you like, but everything else go into the package that is contractually signed.
We think, especially starting out, and I did this a lot, and be like, oh, yeah, of course I'll do that. Yeah, okay, I'll edit more. And it's not, you don't have to, right? You should, you really, that is a skill. It's an additional time. It's your time, and you should actually charge for it. So tell me, do you have any funny client stories, or worst client, or best client? Well, tell me a fun client story. What did you learn from it?
I think the funniest, and I don't know why, but it was not my client necessarily, but it was somebody who was looking forward to book with me. Thank God they didn't. Everything was ready. We went through consultation, call, no red flags whatsoever. Absolutely beautiful human, beautiful lady. Her fiance was right there. Absolutely normal people, you would think. And then they are about to sign the contract. I give them the 4 days I talked about before. And then on day 2, she messaged me and she's like, by the way, we want for all of our vendors to be signed up with the Beachbody, which is an MLM. Who doesn't know? What?
We make you sign up with the LMM, with the LMM.
MLM. I'm sorry, but this is the contract. If you want to sign, if you want my services, this is exactly what you're going to get. And she put at the end, she's, it will be fun. No.
Wow. Clever on their part, though, like
Disappeared.
someone got into it, maybe they got like a second gig on it. I don't know.
No, but I did think about it. I mean, I didn't think of joining, but I did think about it in terms of that she expected from her caterer and from her venue. I don't think so. I think she goes for photographers, videographers, where she knows she will find 3,000 other ones who probably will
think she's actually really getting married.
And if it's a sales tactic, hey, I'm going to go.
Completely. So I have no idea, but I hate on it.
I don't know. I think, is she really getting married, or is she just really trying to like sell her herself?
You don't know yet.
Oh, that's funny.
So that was very, very bizarre. Very bizarre. And another client was just really wanted every single, it was like 14 people in the shots. And if I remember correctly, it was like 9 babies in there. Family reunion before Christmas. And they wanted this one perfect photo of the full family. It was raining outside during the shoots.
No.
Everything was inside, artificial lighting. Babies were, it's home environment, so people get distracted. It's not like in studio, I feel like people can concentrate a bit more.
It's still a lot with 9 babies. That's insane.
Yeah. But at home, it's, I want milk, I want chocolate, I want this, I want that. Home environment, So when you have like toddlers and babies, I had an assistant with me, and I did have for my personal style and in my personal opinion, I took a great shot. Everybody was there. Everybody was facing the camera. They were not looking into the lens, but they were facing. And even the dog was there. Every single person in that photo had to be Photoshopped. Every single one of them.
Wow.
This is the only client who did that ever. I think she did send another inquiry, and I said, I'm not available on your day, because even though she paid for everything, it was a lot of completely, in my opinion.
It's also back and forth too. Just, can you do this? And that, it's a lot of admin work that you really don't, even if you're charging enough for that one image, you're just still, it's taking away from. Yeah.
Because a lot of times I'm like, okay, this is the best photo I can edit. And she looks at it and return it to the other one. The other one was better. So I just did, she paid for that time, that regardless, but it's like, I just did all of this, but absolutely nothing. And it was unnecessary to begin with. If it would be necessary, it would be one thing. But when you think it's unnecessary, that's completely different. And it makes a question. It's like, do you really all like my art? So it's like, if you trust me as a photographer, don't you want my art in your house? No, she doesn't. She wants her way. That's
With those extended family shoots, you definitely need to charge more for them and be prepared that you are going to do a lot of head swaps. You obviously got all of the people, and in an ideal world, you wouldn't have to have head swapped her, but sometimes you'll get the need for those head swaps. I didn't realize that starting out in extended families, and I was,
And the need I can understand. And if it's something that I could have adjusted during production and I didn't, which I rarely do, make those mistakes now. But let's say second shooter missed something and I would like to do a head swap. I will do it. The clients will never know about that. As long as I make it to my personal standard and deliver it, they may have absolutely zero. Like, I edit out all the outlets, all the trash cans, anything out there that does not belong in the frame will be out. Sometimes it's the ceiling. Like, okay, I don't want the ceiling. I'm just going to bring the walls up because that's
too distracting.
Yeah, and during weddings, it's not like a studio space where you can set up your frame right there. Sometimes you have to work with whatever you have. So the clients just never know.
This has been fantastic. So to wrap up, what one tip would you give to someone that's listening, that's a newer photographer who's just starting out? What would you say?
Never, ever, ever listen to photographers who are not charging as much as you do and don't have workflow where you want to be. Find a person, preferably local, to look up to.
Yeah.
Make a connection. Maybe it's online, maybe it's somebody who you can rely on. You know their portfolio, you know they are successful. Ask them questions. Most of those photographers will answer directly. I have never really seen somebody being, no, you cannot contact, things like that. Look up to somebody and take information from those who do better than you in the industry. And don't look back. Don't look at somebody who is saying, look, you have to charge less because the market is blah, blah, blah. If you do everything what every other photographer behind the walls does, you'll just be another photographer out there.
The unfortunate part is 85% of photographers don't make it past year 2. That's why we think that we really want to help photographers. And a lot of that is pricing and a lot of that is running a business, and that can be changed. So, you want to get some education behind you. I would, like you said, mentor.
I would also recommend to find another skill. Like for me, it's editing, because there will be always time, especially if you're starting, when you have up season and down season. And I mean, it happens even if you're a seasonal photographer.
Right.
But when you're starting, you don't have the finances to kind of rely on. So have something that you can rely on year round where you can pick up as your other resource. And it doesn't have to be necessarily fully photography related, or maybe it is, but maybe you're going to be working like with equipment, something like that's related with the industry. But
I think it's always good, especially when you're starting out, to have either a bank account that, a savings that you can dip into if you're slow, but also if you're still working or part-time job or even doing some remote work, because what will happen is that then you're not planning it. You just, I need money. And so then you're devaluing your long-term brand by being forced to actually take that shoot that's not necessarily profitable. People are like, well, yeah, I'm making $300, but I'm working 10 to get to that. But also you don't see the future costs of that. And so the future costs are, you're going to need to replace your computer, this, that, and the other. You're going to have to work really hard to build up not being the cheapest in the area to try and get to profitable rates longer term. This has been fantastic. So tell our listeners where they can find you and learn more if you're getting married in Michigan. We will put it in the show notes, but...
So I'm still a lot in Florida, which is Vero Beach location, kind of closer to Orlando, but on the beach, on the east side. And I am close to Grand Rapids. The town is Rockford. Grand Rapids is the second largest city in Michigan after Detroit. So a lot of my clients are from this area too. And you can find me on Vanderhoff Studio. This is my Instagram handle. I'm also an admin of Michigan Brides to Be. It's a very large group online on Facebook. You can find me there. We do exciting content with other creators. I'm constantly working with different studio spaces, just creating different shows, trade shows, and networking events and things like that, workshops too, collabing with other artists. And we kind of try to bring community together, shed the light onto
that's amazing.
into the industry.
Yeah.
Everything. I try to do, like right now we just started. It's not out yet, but it's a big project for us. We do interviews with different vendors in wedding industry, and we want to also educate the brides more about what's realistic and what's not in the industry.
That's fantastic.
People have a lot of requests, but they don't actually know what they're asking about.
Yeah. Well, and you also have a Facebook group called
Education. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yes. It's correct. It's Vanderhoff Studio Education Resource for Photographers. And
we will put that in the show notes, but it's also a fantastic Facebook group. She does a fantastic job of collating a lot of really good resources and information there. So
it's hard to be like a jack of all trades. It's more than anybody else. You do here and there, but I really try to collect information that's very valuable and can be very useful.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate you coming on. And I just want to say thanks so much and learned so much from you today. And it's been great having you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure to be with you today.